Christine Russo is being ignorant to the truth, and I'm going to tell you why. She made a post earlier today reposting something someone else had posted about Dom not being a dealer. And I find it really hard to believe that she doesn't already know this. One, because Dom has struggled with addiction for a very long time, and his family was fully aware of that. Two, he made tons of money, and I know he told his family that it was crypto, but I don't think that they fully believe that either. Also, people have told her countless times that in the text messages, Dom was a dealer, and they provided evidence in comments and on her lives. She refuses to believe that. She denies it completely. She also continues to talk about the text message that Kenzie had sent about her having a dream of her being taken away in a helicopter. Many people have already said that it was her that had that dream, and she keeps going with the narrative that Dom was the one that had that dream and he must have known and blah, 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 blah. I also went onto her live the other day. It was about an hour and a half long, and I kept trying to request to be in her live because it was supposed to be like an open floor thing. Anybody could come on and ask questions, right? For an hour and a half, only about 4 people were accepted to talk on that live. The rest of the time, it was just her and her cousin and her sister or something like that. And I kept saying in the comments, hey, I have evidence of how crazy Kenzie was and text messages and all this stuff. And she read my messages. I could see that she did because she was looking through all of the comments, and she was only replying to the ones after mine or before mine. And the people that did come on, there was no questions. It was just them saying, thank you so much for doing what you do. And I know that she says all the time that she's never going to look through Dom's text messages because it's an invasion of privacy. And I'm going to call her out on that because I don't think that's why you don't want to look through the text messages. Those text messages paint a completely different picture of who Dom really was, and you don't want to accept that truth. You want to continue to stick to your narrative and to continue his legacy or whatever you're trying to do. But by doing so, you're doing the same thing that the Shirillas are doing. You're lying in order to protect your kid or your brother. And you're trying to pin everything on Kenzie and that she was the abusive one and the emotionally abusive one and all this other stuff. It wasn't just her. It was Dom too. And we need to start being honest about that. Does that mean that he deserved what happened to him? Absolutely not. And I know there's other things going around about texts that Dom has sent, racist texts and all this other stuff. And it's not justified. This isn't justified because of that. I think it's really disgusting that people are taking it to the point of, oh, well, I don't feel bad anymore. We've all said dumb stuff in our life, and that was a dumb thing for him to say. But it doesn't justify his death, and I think it's really disgusting that people are putting it into that category. And from reading all the text messages, what I'm starting to believe is the truth is that this was not intentional. I do think that she does remember, and I think when they were in the car, they started some kind of argument, and she started to drive super fast to try to scare him. Davion was in the back, probably trying to de-escalate the situation, probably didn't want them to fight, and there probably was a struggle of some sort. And she didn't notice that the road was ending and went right into that wall and ended up ducking before she went into that wall. That is the only thing that logically makes sense to me if you add up both of the family stories and all of the evidence. She's not smart enough to do a dry run. She's not a criminal mastermind. This was an extremely, extremely toxic relationship. There was emotional abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, and it all happened in a span of 4 years when they were both really young and still developing. So that kind of trauma really changes somebody, and anything could happen. And I think both parents obviously are going to defend their kid, and Christine Russo is going to defend her brother, and they're going to try to slam the other side as much as possible. But that's not helping the situation. That means we're not trying to find out the truth. We're just only accepting our truth and not the actual truth. I do believe that Kenzie needs to be in jail. She did unalive 2 people. And I think that we need to start focusing on the fact that this was domestic violence and start more talking about that and the toxicity of relationships and how bad it can possibly get. This needs to be less of a family feud and more about justice for people going through this and showing our children how relationships should not be. And on top of that, both parents and Christine Russo profiting off all of this. And not just profiting off of it, you're profiting off something that's not even true. You're denying the truth. You're being ignorant to things that people are showing you. I mean, just going on the lives and people trying to tell Christine stuff that they found out, she just blocks them. She just completely denies everything. So this is hurting the situation more than it is helping the situation. And we need to start being honest.